How's it going, guys? It's Mr. Lo4f, and today I'm going to go and do a contract called Support Local Business. Yeah, there's kind of a shed that I've driven past a few times. It's almost as you get to the ski lifts. It's just before that. I don't believe it unlocks like a warehouse or anything. I think, yeah, from the rewards there, it's just kind of building it for the sakes of it. Yeah, it's over here. In theory, it's a pretty simple mission, really. Yeah, pretty close to the ski lifts, but the actual mission itself, when you look at like what items it needs, I mean, it says like get the metal beams from the top corner there. But if you've already done the mission where you unlock the warehouse at the garage, then you can get some stuff from here. So the metal beams, and then you can get oversized cargo. That's what she said. Yeah, and then you've just got service spare parts, which is kind of. I was going to cut over this bridge, but just to save doing a U-turn in like there, just because I'm going to have a ramped flatbed. Yeah, I'll kind of drive the other way around. But yeah, overall, it kind of makes it a much shorter mission because the you're going to need 7 slots of cargo in total. Obviously, there's no. Well, I suppose actually, I could. There is various 3-slot vehicles that could also tow a trailer. I'll be honest, I never really even got that far thinking wise because I had the crane and I just. I mean, here, a big, long, epic drive. Yeah, the oversized cargo and then metal beams. That was already 6 of the 7. Lots of cargo done. The service spare part, I'm not even going to get until near the end of the mission, but I already just knew in my head with a crane on here, I'll just, you know, kind of hold it on the back of the metal beams and do it that way. And yeah, I suppose in a way it's not too... I think it's quite good that they've got a warehouse sort of at the garage because when I was thinking about it, considering when you think how many different missions and all stuff we do across various maps, there's not that often, even though whichever main road is kind of leading out of each garage, we inevitably drive along that probably more than most other roads in the game, yet we rarely actually take cargo down them because normally you're just setting off from the garage heading over to like the other side of the map or whatever before you've even got loaded up. And I suppose in some ways, particularly this first section of road, it probably kind of showed a bit. To me, I like this truck obviously a lot, Steve. It feels like they've done something, I don't know. You hear a lot of noise going when it changes gear, but sort of torque-wise or anything. Not as much changes as the noise would suggest. I know I've been, like, I've just, let's say been busy, I have again, it's simultaneously busy and not busy. Just things like deleting stuff off my phone because my memory's full and it keeps bricking, I try and open an app and it keeps crashing YouTube and all sorts. And yeah, I don't really have anything left to delete other than like memes and cat pictures, so it takes bloody ages to try and free up some memory on there, isn't it? I could do with just getting a new phone really at this point. But I figured out the other day, it's nearly 7 years old this phone now, so my first iPhone, well it's still going my first iPhone now, but I got that in 2011, so that's 12 years old now in August, last month. My phone turned 12. Yeah, and I suppose what is now my phone, it's coming up, about 6.5 years, so it's done pretty well. I get quite a bit of life out of them. Yeah, so I've got just stuff, my kind of routine's been thrown out of whack a little bit. It's all good, but yeah, I'll should get back into the swing of things, but I've not really been on this game too much. Obviously I've been doing the live streams, and I'm aware I might get a little bit kind of biased if I've been driving around, say, mod vehicles, and then you go back to the vanilla vehicles. But then I've done quite a few live streams, I've certainly played with enough mods and then gone back to the normal game that it doesn't usually feel quite as noticeable as it does. But again, this road, you don't normally, most times I've driven down here, I've got, I might have a trailer and all that, but yeah, usually don't have the cargo, so it seems to be, I don't know, either they've dialed this road up a little bit or just the map in general, which wouldn't surprise me because I liked it as like just when we first got the game and it was like, it felt like a pretty easy map. It kind of feels like it's subtly been getting a little bit more difficult as the weeks go on. Again, not to any major degree, just kind of that way you think, has something changed like a few percent, but you can't quite tell completely. But yeah, this first section of road just seems to be a little bit brutal once you're all fully loaded up. But I do think they could do with adding a little bit more torque. Certainly on the low end to Steve, because like I said, particularly when you're climbing through the gears, I mean, I'm kind of going downhill now, so it helps a little bit, but you could be in kind of second, third, fourth, fifth, or maybe even sixth. It does that noise where you hear it kind of firing up. It was like my first car, it was the same thing. There was no point in dropping it down a gear, because it just got louder, probably used more fuel, and it was just essentially doing the same thing. There was no concept, you didn't feel any acceleration in that car. Maybe from 0 to 10 or something, but it was honestly like horrifically slow. Yeah, and that's what this feels like. But I ended up editing it out of this video because there wasn't really any point in the end. But essentially, as I'm driving along, in a few minutes, I just kind of thought, I don't know, it felt like I was going slower to where like another vehicle would have done things a lot quicker. But I'm aware I've got the drilling equipment, or sorry, the oversized cargo and the metal beams, and I've got a crane and all sorts. But yeah, it's just, I think more the gearbox in this, because again, the high gear's pretty crap in this, to be honest. I have heard it's better in the multi-purpose gearbox. It's just, yeah, how it slows going into reverse and that. I don't even dislike the concept in that. It's just muscle memory wise and just autopilot mode. Yeah, every time I try and flick it in reverse or low range, it just never goes all the way in and then it falls back out, is what she said, of course. But yeah, it catches me out loads, so I don't really bother with it. I'm in high gear at the minute. I think at one point I was kind of, well, it's certainly wishful thinking, yeah, probably now mashing the gears even though it's in high gear. I don't think this thing's got much chance of doing a Jeff special. There is one other thing I was thinking though. This oversized cargo, there's a chance it's heavier than you'd think. Like, I reckon once it's packed, there's a chance, just because this ramped flatbed, as much as it's been a pain in the ass for the majority of SnowRunner, it does seem like some attempts have been made to fix it in more recent months. But I did notice tonight it does flop around a lot, and it was leaning over to the left. Like, it's almost to the point where it was about to tip off the trailer. But yeah, just how kind of eager it was to tip over. I'm also wondering if, like, yeah, it just ends up being a pretty heavy cargo, and then when it's on the ramped flatbed. The ramped flatbed, to be fair, isn't the greatest trailer when it comes to kind of, especially bumping over rocks, and the roots will be a bit of a pain on this game with this trailer. Like, the front hitbox of the tyres, they don't really behave very rounded. They kind of, they're more like squares, really. You just sort of, they hit against stuff. The tyres don't really seem to want to roll over stuff as much as they just kind of hit against it. Eventually, obviously, enough truck power and all the rest of it, it kind of doesn't have too much choice. But yeah, there's definitely, I think the hitboxes are a little sketchy on it. And then yeah, there's got to be some root or dead tree in here, because Steve's caught his chin. Thankfully, they have put kind of an immovable tree near enough that you can just fire a winch out. Yeah, I think there is kind of roots you can see coming out the edge of the water there as well. And yeah, it's around now. I mean, I was almost pulling over there. I was just thinking at this point, I'll pull over, and I'm going to go and get a different vehicle. And obviously, I'm limited in as much as there's a lot of vehicles I can get a sideboard and the ramp flatbed, but I need a crane as well, because I'm essentially going to be flying the last piece of cargo, I suppose. Well, I'm going to kind of pin it against the metal beams, but I need the crane to be able to manually grab that last piece of cargo. Yeah, and I just wasn't entirely convinced it was as quick as it could have been. So again, kind of deciding which vehicle to choose. I essentially went for this because it's sort of the longer chassis version of the other Tayga, which if it didn't matter either way, I'd choose the other Tayga over this. This is a very solid vehicle though. But yeah, it's the original Tayga's like pretty difficult one to top. Yeah, long story short, when I got here, as near as makes no difference, it's hard to judge completely. I think as well halfway through driving that Tayga, my brother got back home, so I was chatting to him and stuff, so I was still driving and everything, but I probably wasn't paying quite as much attention as I could, which again is a pretty common thing anyway. Yeah, they both ended up really at about 7 minutes-ish. I think it was about 8.5 minutes when I pulled this over. And that Taiga, yeah, for all intents and purposes, it was about 7 minutes as well. So, for different reasons, the Taiga felt like it was a bit punchier in certain sections, but there was other sections where it just got a bit bogged down and crawling and all the rest of it. Yeah, it just seemed to pan out about the same. So you could see at that point, I kind of had both the trucks level on each side of the road, really. I just decided I may as well carry on with Steve and kind of this setup, but at this point, I had the options. And then, yeah, I mean, one reason why this truck is nice is you can easily fit a loaf on the roof and still have the crane and, yeah, sideboard and a trailer and all the rest of it, and a spare tyre and a roof rack. Whereas that Taiga I brought, I ended up towing the loaf like behind the ramp flatbed. I did have a go at one point putting the loaf. You can like what's it called? The ramps at the back of the trailer, kind of lower them down, put the loaf on. Even with this oversized cargo on, you can still fit the loaf on the ramps and pack the vehicle. But the ramps are kind of gutless now as well. It's another thing. I don't know why, but I'm pretty damn certain I've got it on video multiple times as well. Say a year ago or whatever. You could... Sorry, lorry just... Oh yeah, shit, I was supposed to put my bins out. Forgot to do that. It's not them anyway. Yeah, the ramps used to have like more guts to them, so once you put a loaf on, you could do the ramps so they'd kind of flap up. Sorry, it's like a second truck identical just pulled up next to the other one, and then running some kind of truck convention outside going on. Yeah, sorry, it's distracting me. Yeah, about the ramps. When you put a loaf on, you used to be able to like click whatever it is. I can't remember, just activate ramps, I think it says. But when you lift them up, it had enough oomph to kind of lift the loaf up, and then when you packed it, at least the ramps were kind of sticking straight out the back of the trailer more. For whatever reason, I was trying to say my loaf has put weight on, which should be a crime, to be honest. It's a damn lie. He's weightless until he needs to be. And yeah, it just, particularly like with the roots and that, I'd give it a little go, and I was like, yeah, sod it, I'll refresh the mission, go back. To be honest, one nice thing about collecting the cargo and whatnot, if you do decide to abandon this mission, there's probably no real reason. I was just doing it for the sake of cleaner footage, which probably went to hell pretty quick anyway. Yeah, just like kind of delete the trailer, delete the cargo, recover to the garage, get a trailer, get the cargo back. It's all pretty easy to kind of reset that up as far as that goes. I still prefer this way in. That's what she said. Yeah, these cars, well, they're not too bad. If you've got a truck that's kind of low enough that'll hit the car out of the way. But when, yeah, bigger trucks are just kind of, you start to drive over it. And we'll stubbornly keep going though. Thankfully there was kind of a winch point off to the right that worked out pretty nicely. Yeah, just because, you know, the game has to be a dick, I was able to reach where I need the cargo. But you know what this game's like, even though you're within the circle, it just decides every now and then, no you're not. Like, well yes, but actually no, for no apparent reason. So yeah, I had to do it the long way. That's definitely what she said. Yeah, disconnect the trailer, reverse up. It's not too bad though, but this, I mean, look at it. Cargo tried. Do you know what, for what it's worth, unless I've just been unlucky recently, the cargo flops around more this phase. Like, I've done a hell of a lot of dropping cargo like that onto trailers, and it used to land a bit more firmly. Now it's like, I don't know, they really do just keep rolling once you drop them. But yeah, got it kind of pinched down with a crane. I knew it's not really going anywhere at this point, and that was my 7 cargo strategy. Hence, I didn't even, well, not that, just that I didn't think of even getting a truck with like a 3-slot cargo bed thing and a trailer. Because to be fair, the Paystar would have been an interesting one to use for this. Because I kind of, in theory, wanted a vehicle with a high-range gearbox, preferably. But then I knew that this mission isn't that long. And, yeah, I kind of knew Steve was a pretty good candidate for kind of being able to run the crane and all the rest of it. I didn't really need fuel here. I mean, certainly I've got goddamn horse meat and the roof rack, but I think it's generally good practice just when you're driving past one, you may as well get some, because you never know. And for me anyway, I could abandon these vehicles, it could be a month and a half later. I just so happen to be in the area. And there's a goddamn horse and a Steve sitting nearby with fresh roof racks. It's pretty nice. I mean, yeah, you can see at this point, once you can go on the road, Steve can pick up. It's a nice little pace, but yeah, just the lack of like low end torque. Once you're in the mud, it's quite difficult to actually get your momentum going, really. Glitch going on there. Yeah, this is the kind of half-built warehouse garage thing going on. I don't really know if they had more plans. I wasn't even. I was looking over at like the red building. Just click. I mean, in my defence, I've got to put 2 extra poles sticking out the side of it for no reason. Yeah, I don't know if they had more plans for this area originally. The fact that you end up getting an animation when it builds and everything, I don't know, maybe they just copy and paste animations over, but yeah, seems a little bit of a significant building and all the rest of it, considering you effectively just end up building it, but I'm pretty certain there was certainly nothing in the rewards. I don't remember anything getting unlocked or anything like that. Yeah, do those 2 cargo though. The other cargo just falls into the sideboard, click pack. You get the animation, and I will say to its credit, it's about 17,000 or something for the. Considering if you've got that warehouse unlocked at the garage and you can grab those 2, it's actually pretty decent paying mission for like what you have to do. Yeah, so worth doing. But like I say, I don't think there's any like overall map gain to it. But yeah, money wise, it's fair. That's how it needs to be. Yeah, that's about it for today though. I hope you've enjoyed. I hope that helps. Thanks for watching. Thanks for Patreon members. Get yourself a loaf because he's a goddamn beast, and I'll be back soon.